The Senate will now come to order. They're going to still hand out your placards, but the clerk will call the roll. Please be loud. Don't forget to say proxy if you're proxying for somebody. But otherwise, if your name isn't being called, try and stay quiet, please. Oloco, Anderson, Baldinger, Venegas, Brazier, Coulomb, Koviak, Cumby, Zapolito, Davis, Dorsey, Dorsnowski, Erler, Freer, Fry, Govan, Gay, George, Gopel, Hopkins, Hunter, Iftikhar, Jacobson, Cassetti, Keenan, Kern, Kirby, Lemery, Lewis, Matthews, Wakapusia, Pickford, Primus, Sams, Sanders, Santiago Cedillo, Sheridan, Spurgeon, Silkert, Tapia, Talaka, Violette, Von Cannon, Walker, Watley. All right. With the quorum being present, is there a motion to approve the journal of September 17th, 2025 as found online? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Does anybody notice anybody who's definitely at pictures who's not here? Just making sure. I'm not seeing anybody either, so. We are now in line for general orders of the Senate, beginning with reports from Senate leadership. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette, you are now recognized.
Hey everybody. So Rules reviewed 7 pieces of legislation, all of which were found favorable. Furthermore, we decided the deadline of 5:30 Saturday to submit legislation was kind of bad. So we changed it to 12 p.m. Sunday. That will be the deadline for legislation to be submitted. With that, I yield my time to questions.
The Speaker Pro Tempore yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Lemery.
Yes, that is correct. 12 p.m. Sunday instead of 5:30 Saturday. Yes.
This is a new deadline, so this is going to be the first week where that takes effect. Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Academics Committee. Chairperson Koviak, you are recognized.
Hello, everyone. So glad to be back. Sorry to not be here last time. I got sick with, it seems like, everything, so I was not able to be here. But our committee met on Friday at 8 p.m. at normal time, online or in person, whichever we prefer. Can do both, but we typically meet in Russell. But we did our vote on new vice chair. We ended up putting Matthew Fry, so he is now going to be our vice chair for the committee. We also talked about SBL, let me pull it up, SBL 11767, just the professional and graduate advising piece, and found it favorable, and also had a piece that the committee is sponsoring. It's going to be read today. But with that, I yield to my time to questions.
Chairperson yields their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Finance Committee. Chairman Matthews, you are recognized.
Good evening. Finance Committee met last Friday at 3:30 p.m. We reviewed $8,415.53 and approved $8,418.43. In addition, we approved Ahmed Iftikhar as our new vice chairman. Any questions?
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Congratulations, Vice Chairman Iftikhar. Whoop, whoop. All right. Seeing no more questions, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Health and Safety Committee. Chairwoman Cumby, you are recognized.
Hey everyone, we met last Wednesday after Senate per usual, and we had Senator Sanders go to the Student Health and Wellbeing Center and had a meeting, and now we know all about the Say Boo to the Flu that student government will be working on, which will be October 28th. So we're super excited to help with that. And then we're also just working on legislation and also hoping to partner with the College of Pharmacy on October 22nd with their own flu shot clinic. And then we're also kind of working out the kinks of the details for the drink testing kit initiative. But I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Judiciary Committee. Chairwoman Diapolito, you are recognized.
Hey guys, Judiciary did not meet in person this week. We did vote on SBL 11770, which we found unanimously favorable. The reason we did not vote meet in person was because we still don't have a vice chair, but I know that there's many of you that might be interested in joining Judiciary. And right now it's the time conflict. So actually after Senate, we will be meeting right after in the LSC as like a committee meeting, but also anyone that might be interested in joining can come and should come, so we can talk about times that work for everyone. There was definitely one more thing I wanted to say about that. Right now, that's it. I will definitely give a reminder at open discussion at the end, so be ready for that. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Liberties and Representation Committee. Chairwoman Hopkins, you are recognized.
Hi, everyone. A shorter update this week. So last week is when we met with the Anne Frank Center. This coming week, so next week, on Wednesday, we have 2 meetings scheduled. I haven't announced the other one to the committee yet, but because we just finalized the time, but at 9 a.m. next Wednesday, which is the 1st, we are meeting, or well, anyone who can come is welcome to join us for a meeting with the directors and the interns who work at the Anne Frank Center, because they had a few ideas for ways that we could help support them. And we want to go see if we can write legislation. And Senator Sams has a really good idea for an initiative that we can host. So we're going to try to get some more information about that. And then later in the day at 3 p.m. is our meeting with Parking and Transportation, where we're going to talk about a whole lot of things. We have a piece of legislation hitting the floor from our very own Jasmine. So super excited for everyone to get to see that. Other than that, I yield the remainder of my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Chairwoman Anderson, you are recognized.
Hi guys, couple of things from me. First thing, we had 3 interviews this week. So Brandon Green was found unfavorable. We were looking for a more developed action plan as well as a better understanding of what the role of a senator is. And then Jasper Ryan and Taylor Manwaring were both found favorable, so they'll be joining us today, which is exciting. And due to interviews and conflicts, we did not meet this week. And with that, I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Student Life Committee. Chairman Spurgeon, you are recognized.
Hi, we met at our normal meeting time and found everything favorable except for a bill to increase the student activity by $10 because we thought that number 10 needed a little bit more reasoning, and there were a lot of questions onto the necessity of this bill and the feasibility of its implementation from us, specifically from Senate. I yield the questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Sustainability Committee. Chairwoman Gopal, you are recognized.
Hi everyone, happy Wednesday. Sustainability did not meet this week because I was actually on my deathbed on Monday, but we had no legislation, so it's okay. There was a Sustainability Campus lunch on Friday that Marietta Rope went to. She's the Secretary of Sustainability under the President's branch, Vice President's.
Cabinet.
cabinet. And they talked a lot about how food waste is a big problem on campus. So that's something that me and Marietta are going to try to work on some initiatives with. She also brought up the piece of legislation that Lewis passed a few weeks ago with the biodegradable paper, and there was a club within Darla Moore that wants to talk to Global Cafe about possibly pursuing that. Me and Marietta are tabling on Tuesday, October 14th for Out of the Coop Day. So we will be planning that within the committees, and then I have a meeting with Jesse McNeven on Friday. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from freshman council. Are there any representatives from freshman council present? Y'all are recognized. And make sure you tell us like your names and just so we get to meet you.
Good evening. My name is Micah Swatsky. I'm an international student from Taiwan. I'm currently declared as a hospitality management major. I'm in the process of switching over to IB. I'm part of the freshman council serving on student life committee as the project manager.
Hello, my name is Malia White. I'm from Charleston, South Carolina. I'm a nursing major with a minor in women and gender studies, and I'm a part of freshman council serving on the Liberties and Representation Committee as project manager.
So now we're going to give each committee's updates.
So for the academic committee, they're looking into a used textbook / literary drive and possibly a school supplies drive.
The Health and Safety Committee is looking at new initiatives to improve campus life and student well-being. They're considering donation drives, outreach tabling, educational workshops or panels, community building events, and collaborations with other student groups.
And then Liberties and Representation is looking towards raising more awareness of the bus system and possibly incorporating those into U101 classes, since there hasn't been a lot of communication about how the systems work.
The Student Life Committee is hoping to plan events like therapy talk sessions during finals, karaoke nights, and movie nights. Their long-term goals focus on building community and supporting student mental health.
And then finally, Sustainability is planning thrift pop-ups, campus cleanups, and sustainability competitions like recycling or recycled art. And they're also working on collaborations with other campus organizations and spreading awareness about sustainability initiatives.
We now yield our time to any questions.
The representatives yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Great job, guys. We will now hear a report from the Constitutional Council. Chief Justice Butcher, you're recognized.
Hey y'all, happy belated Constitution Day. Sorry I missed last week, but best day of the year, obviously. So the only thing I report is that I have some non-substantial edits to the codes being read across the desk tonight, mostly adding indents and then correcting the numbered indents for consistency because they're all over the place. And then I also now have a stenographer that's being read across the desk tonight. So all of the Constitutional Council offices are filled. I yield my time to questions.
The Chief Justice yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We will now hear a report from the Speaker of the Student Senate. I'm recognizing myself. Hi guys, thank you for coming to pictures today. Kind of have a lot, but I'm gonna try and race through it as quick as possible. So this Sunday, I had the privilege of going to Peak Retreat. There were some senators who were there as participants or note takers, so thank you to y'all who were coming. In case you guys are interested, like pretty much the most frequent topics that came up during Imagine Carolina was parking, which nobody's really surprised by, dissatisfaction with space and or funding for student life on our campus, which I know we've been talking about within the Student Senate, orientation and like learning how to unify all of our resources here on campus so that it's easier for students to find, and then things with our Career Center and Handshake. So if you guys are passionate about any of those topics, those are things that students who weren't in student government brought up as things they wanted to have worked on during the school year, especially by student government. So thank you for coming to pictures. Just a general reminder to make sure that you're like checking your email, reading your group news and stuff like that, because you got reminded about the pictures in an email and through GroupMe and through Senate. So just make sure that you're reading all that information because I don't want you guys to miss anything. we have our Senate retreat on Sunday. I'm pulling it up, sorry. This is generally what it's gonna look like. If you want to take a picture of the schedule, it's going to be from 1 to 4. It's required. It's codified as required. If you can't go, just submit an excuse on Garnet Gate. It's the same rule as Senate, so 24 hours before, but it makes it a lot easier for me if you submit it a little bit more before, so I know how much like snacks and drinks to buy for you guys. But it's a good mix of like fun and Senate stuff and things like that. If you have any questions about it, just let me know. But otherwise, I will see you guys on Sunday. In the email I also sent, this is something fun. A link to a Google form if you guys want to fill it out and send me a song so I can make a Senate playlist. Right now, only 10 people have filled out the form, so hopefully I'm going to see everyone except for those 10 people whip out their phones right now and submit a song, please. And then we'll have a playlist, and it will be awesome. Senator Wakapusia. Just being a senator is your registration. Yep. And it's a casual dress code. Any other questions? Senator Wakapusia. LSC. And y'all have an email. It's called retreat information. Yeah, you're all good. Any other questions? Last two things that I forgot. I'm working on finding us online voting right now. So just a TBD that maybe that's going to start in the spring semester. So instead of us doing roll call votes, it would be like an app. And then you guys could just press like a green button for yes, or a red button for no, or a yellow button for abstention. And Jessica and I were looking at it today, and it has like options where you can put yourself in the queue for questions. It's really, really cool. But it like, we have to like get a quote and it costs money and stuff. So it's like a real system. So that's just going to take some time, but that's just something I'm working on. And then speaking of casual dress, my birthday's next week, and I did this last year, but I really don't like getting dressed up in business professional. So next Senate on Wednesday is going to be dressed on Senate. You can dress casually, appropriate, the way you would dress for class, but you can wear sweatpants. I don't really care. We don't have to wear business professional. So yeah. Any other questions? Seeing none. Thank you. We are now in line for a report from the student body treasurer. Treasurer Ashley Reynolds, you are recognized.
Awesome. Happy Wednesday. So a couple things from me. We have our next treasurer's workshop next week. That will be next Wednesday before Senate. We're also going to be hosting a crowdfunding workshop. So if you guys don't know what crowdfunding is, it is a way for all student organizations or student groups on campus to raise funds on their own. So in the spirit of helping students find ways to fund things that aren't necessarily student government, we will be hosting this workshop next Thursday. If you know anyone student orgs that would want to come, that'll be super interesting. But we, as student government, will be participating in Give for Garnet, which takes place in the spring. So I'm spearheading a committee that is dedicated to helping us with the Give for Garnet fund. Through student government, you'll be working on things like programming, marketing, going out and talking to students. So if you're interested in being a part of that, please let me know. Me and Jack are working on the final kinks of the reimbursement email that we'll send out after Wednesdays. And then I also got the pleasure of going to Beak Retreat on Saturday and Imagine Carolina on Sunday and heard a lot of the same stuff that Maura heard. And in the spirit of combining campus resources, I coded a ChatGPT this past week that I sent out in the group me if any of y'all saw it, that just kind of combines campus resources. And now I'm kind of obsessed with it. So like if you have anything interesting that I could code into ChatGPT, let me know because it's been a lot of fun. And I'm meeting with Bryce Bible and Liz Shirley next week to see if we can get it implemented across all of our ChatGPT. So when you open it, it'll automatically pop up there on the left. And I think that's it. I yield my time to questions.
The treasurer yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Wakapusia.
Yes.
Any other questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the student body vice president. Vice President Jordan Richardson, you are recognized.
Guys, hope you like my new tattoos. Happy Wednesday. Yes. You have a question already? Oh, my tattoos? Right here.
No, they're fake.
They're real. Like real? They're fake. Anyways. Happy Wednesday, y'all. We have coffee with the counselors this upcoming Monday, September 29th from 12 to 2 on Davis Field. We'll be with the Student Health and Wellbeing. So super exciting. Free coffee, 7 bread, come out. Reminder Walkathon is October 5th. It's coming up pretty soon. So please be there. Mark your calendars, please. Thank
What
you.
time's it at?
From 3 to 7 at Founders Park. I'll give more information next week. But just mark your calendars for now. Oh, if you're planning to be a big, please make sure your slides are done. I need those done like tonight, if you haven't done them already. Right now, but like tonight, please. Also, Inside 1801 is back. So me and Emma, my chief of staff, are filming tomorrow. It should be on Spotify probably no later than early next week. So that's all I have for this week. I have my time to questions.
The vice president yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for a report from the student body president. President Courtney Tax, you are recognized.
Guys, those are all real, especially the Black Widow right in the middle of his chest. 100% real. So, okay, I'm going to really just say exactly what Maura and Ashley both said, but thank you to everyone that came to Beak Retreat or Imagine Carolina. However, I am sorry if you had to hear me sing the alma mater at either one of those. It's quite unfortunate. But again, parking, space, communication. The president is incredibly pleased with how it went. So if you guys did go, he wants to give you a pat on the back. But this also kind of enlightened me. This could be a little bit more internal, but it enlightened me to really think about how we're connecting with students and how we're hearing student concerns. So I implemented a new thing with both my staff and cabinet called Constituent Connections. And every single week they're required to just go up to a random student anywhere, talk to them, hear about who they are, what they're studying, and get one problem they're experiencing on campus. And it's going to go into their slides every single week so that I'm kind of creating a database of just a student kind of plucked off from the middle of nowhere, to kind of really hear what they're experiencing and to kind of have new ideas constantly circulating in through student government. More internal, my philanthropy council is finalizing all of their interviews. However, we did pick 3 organizations that we're focusing on. We're focusing on Epworth Children's Home, Homeless No More, and Dance Marathon. So 1 internal, 2 external. But this opportunity is available to anybody in student government. So if you are interested in getting involved, I know that Homeless No More, they want to work on a bigger project. Epworth, they want to do more consistent volunteering throughout the year. So anytime that you have to give, which I know may not be a lot, but that's a great opportunity to get involved. Some more internal. I am starting Let's Talk Carolina, and I know you guys are all uber involved, and I want to come meet your organizations. I want to meet the students in your organizations, hear the concerns that they're having. So I will be sending out the link to my calendar, basically. But there are specific Let's Talk Carolina spots that organizations can sign up for, and I'd love to talk with them if we need to work something out with availability. Also, SG-wide, October 7th, be there or be square. President Amaritas is coming. So come prepared with questions. I'm going to send out a form if you do have any questions for the president. And then we're going to have a little Q&A. It's going to be a blast. More internal. All of my meetings this week have been board prep meetings. I have board of trustees on Friday, so I'm very excited to come to you guys with more information from my board meeting on Friday. External. I had my Russell House Expansion Committee last Friday. We looked at peer and aspirant institutions, so specifically University of Florida, University of Georgia, University of Tennessee, so SEC schools. And I just wanted to preface that these are open to everyone, and I take note of who is in those meetings, and I will send you updates with the slides from that meetings, anything that we've discussed, any next steps moving forward. The next one will be October 17th, again from 12:45 to 1:45. And we're going to be going over kind of the logistics of what this would look like. And I was kind of going into one of my next points, but Derek Gruner is probably going to come, and he is going to kind of talk through the logistics of that. So still making sure that that's confirmed, but he's going to talk through the logistics of what it would be like if we had to take Russell House off of the market, in other words. Additionally, I think this is going to interest a lot of senators. I had a meeting with Stacey Fritz last Thursday, and we talked a lot about some advocacy work that you guys are doing and that I've been doing. One is, of course, excused absence policy, and she put on my attention that the University of Florida just implemented a new system where students can go in and basically say, I just can't go to class today, can't do it, and then there's a box down at the bottom that they sign that says, I am responsible for reaching out to another student to receive any of the lecture or notes from that class, so it takes the pressure off of the professor. And then also that they assume any consequences from missing that day if they were being untruthful. I don't know. We're still kind of working out the kinks and looking and seeing if that is a viable option for the school. And then I also brought up some concerns with the SDRC, and they are actually really working on increasing accessibility and visibility of off-campus resources. So having a nurse practitioner at the Center of Health and Wellbeing to be able to truly assess if someone could potentially qualify, and then from there, they'll provide them next steps for off-campus ways to get tested. I had a meeting with Derek Gruner today about the McKissick renovation because I've really been pushing for more diverse spaces on campus because all we have in Russell House right now are 40-person rooms. But we kind of looked at a lot of the structures and noticed that it would be, some of these spaces would be really convenient for more roundtable discussion, smaller board, executive board kind of meetings. And the first group that I thought of were Senate committees. So more spaces for you guys to be able to kind of have smaller meetings over there, opening up a lot of our bigger rooms here. Also, yes, Kentucky. So the Kentucky game is on, Saturday. That's when it is. And we have a alumni tailgate that you can pay to go to, or if you pay $40 for all 4 years that you're in college, again, just one payment of $40, you can go for free. And the reason that I'm telling you all this now is we're going to have two opportunities for Alabama and for Coastal Carolina to also participate in these activities. And technically, if you pay now, those ones are free. That's what you want to consider free. Also, just wanted to clarify, university committees, once I submit your names, I know nothing about what happens with those. That is fully in the hands of administration. They will reach out to you if they need you. I don't know when the committees meet. I don't know what they're doing. That is just so that the university has a student to reach out to if they need you. Last but not least, I just wanted to make sure, because I was feeling this week, but I just want to make sure everyone's taking care of themselves. I know exams and grades and everything are kind of piling up, and this is where it gets a little stressful. So make sure you're taking time to yourself, breathe, go walk around the horseshoe for a second. You'll probably see me there. With that, I yield my time to questions.
The student body president yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are now in line for special orders of the Senate. Are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding delegation assignments. Jasper Ryan, Carolina Life, Taylor Manwaring, School of Music.
Received. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Office of the Speaker of the Student Senate regarding committee assignments. Jasper Ryan, Judiciary, Academics. Taylor Manwaring, Judiciary, Liberties, and Representation.
The question is of the approval of committee assignments en bloc. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Constitutional Council regarding the appointment for stenographer Michaela Torres.
Received. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read?
A communication from the Constitutional Council regarding the approval of non-substantial edits to the codes.
The question is of the approval of non-substantial edits to the codes. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Continuing on with the special orders of the Senate, are there any letters, petitions, appointments, applications, or other the clerk will now read? Seeing no more special orders of the Senate, we are now in the motion period. Are there any motions on the floor at this time? Senator Wakapusia. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Kirby as Senator Wakapusia as proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Wakapusia. Granted. Senator Lemery. There's been a motion to remove Senator Lemery from the Sustainability Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion to add the bill to amend the impeachment process and clarify existing impeachment procedures to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The bill is added to the first reading calendar and granted the legislative number of SBL 11779. Chairman Matthews. There's been a motion to add the recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds to the first reading calendar. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is added to the first reading calendar and granted the legislative number of 11779. Senator Dworzanowski. There's been a motion to add Senator Dworzanowski from the Judiciary Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Jacobson. There's been a motion to add Senator Jacobson to the Finance Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Diapolito. Does the sponsor find this friendly or unfriendly? Seeing no objections, this amendment is now adopted. Senator Primus. There's been a motion to remove Senator Primus from the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Benegas. There's been a motion to remove Senator Benegas from the Academics Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sheridan. There's been a motion to add Senator Sheridan to the Judiciary Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sheridan. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Von Cannon as Senator Sheridan's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Sheridan. Granted. Senator Benegas. There's been a motion to add Senator Benegas to the Powers and Responsibilities Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Kirby. There's been a motion to remove Senator Kirby from the Liberties and Representation Committee. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Are there any other motions from the floor at this time? Senator Matthews. That was a good catch. There's been a motion to confirm Taylor Manwaring and Jasper Ryan to the position of student senator. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The nominees are confirmed. Senator Matthews. There's been a motion to suspend the rules. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Y'all can come up here. Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah. Yeah, I was not very specific there. Y'all just stand there. And then y'all can sit like with everybody else in the center. Yeah. Can I please stop? We are still in the motion period. Are there any other motions from the floor at this time? Seeing no more motions, is there a motion to dispense of this motion period? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Here are the group me's if anybody needs them. Give it a second. Y'all got it? We are now on the call of the introduction of new legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11771, sponsored by Senator Watley, a recommendation to implement a streamlined notification system to update students on disability services.
Senator Watley, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Hello, everyone. So I have some legislation here. It's just a recommendation to implement a streamlined notification system to update students on disability services. There currently isn't anything in place for something like this. I've been in communication with the Office of Civil Rights in Title IX and the Student Disability Resource Center about this, and they think it's a great idea and they would love to set up something like this. And I'm actually meeting with the Deputy ADA Coordinator on this Friday at 2 p.m. to discuss this and get this implemented. I think it would be great to have, because there is construction and like obstructions on campus sometimes that doesn't necessarily get told to students who need that accessibility to get to places. So having something to just give them a heads up would be great, so that way they can get to class and other places efficiently. But we're currently in the works of trying to get something set up, so there isn't really like a defined system yet as to how we're going to do it. But other than that, I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Liberties and Representation Committee. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11772, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to extend dining hall hours on weekdays and high demand days.
Senator Lewis, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
This is a pretty simple recommendation. So it basically says that, many students have classes and jobs or other extracurricular activities that run late into the evening, sometime nighttime hours. And the dining halls are closed, so they can't get to them because they're closed. And so basically what this is saying is we want to keep them open just a little bit longer. We're not asking for too much, just a little bit longer, and on high demand days. So you may be thinking, what is a high demand day? A high demand day could be a game day, it could be an activity. We could be throwing a block party right here on Green Street, and guess what? The dining halls will stay open later for this day. So I think it's pretty simple. With that, I yield for questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Chairwoman Diapolito.
Yeah, so basically what that means is I'm not gonna make the decision in the recommendation. We're gonna take the lead of what dining services fees logistically and feasible to be done. We can't keep all the dining rooms open, I don't think, late at night. I look at it like this. We can't ask for too much at one time. This is something I don't want to throw too much at them.
Are there any other questions? Senator Kirby?
Which dining hall are you talking about? Well, I know one of them closed at 9 p.m.
Senator Iftikhar?
I don't think it'll be a problem for them. But the one of the things that I mentioned about this is that this is going to help with safety. The students won't have to leave campus anymore at nighttime to go find something to eat because we're going to have the food for here them on campus. Yeah, but the dining hall is the exclusive all you can eat buffet. That's what the students want. They want to go to the buffet, they can get the different things. I didn't particularly do a research, but this was something I talked to, and I walked down to the dining hall and talked with one of the workers, and they seem, pretty answerable.
Senator Iftikhar, I'm going to just move some questions around and then we'll come back to you. Thank you. Senator Watley? Granted. Senator Violette?
Yes. I mean, this is still in the early stages, but we won't know all those details until we get I get with our advisor and get the contacts and start really negotiating with some of the right people.
All right. Chairwoman Diapolito?
Well, I really didn't get into that since it was a third party company that runs the dining hall. So I will have to, again, get another contact and find out about how does the third party logistics work.
Chairperson Koviak? Any other questions? Senator Sanders?
Yeah, that's a good point. In the recommendation, I said at least one, to not bind anyone to like a specific number. But I think that starting out with one and then we can go from there. And then if dining feels like it's feasible to do it for more of them, I would take their lead on what, they think is really best on this.
Any other questions? Senator Iftikhar?
Well, I didn't know they was open on 10, the woman told me 9, but weekends. Oh yeah, I was finna say, cause I was there Thursday and they closed, she put me out at 8:45. but I mean, the weekends would be if the other part I added about the predictable high demand days. So, they have data and they have these numbers to know when you swipe your Carolina card, they know the numbers that come in a particular day. Because if you look at Garnet Station, they close a door during certain periods of the time today. You got to walk all the way around just to get in there.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11773, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to establish a student member on the University Development Foundation Board.
Senator Lewis, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Adding a student member, even if it's in a non-advisory role, is going to ensure that we have a student representative and a student perspective when it comes to hearing these high priorities that they're talking about concerning us. And so, I'm always about trying to give students a voice, and this is giving us another voice on another important, the University Foundation Board here. And, a couple other schools have already done this. So yet that I will yield with questions.
Senator Lewis yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Kirby.
It will follow university policy.
Chairwoman Anderson.
Oh, yeah. So the University Foundation Board is actually part of University of South Carolina. And one of the things they control the endowments, the scholarships here. And most importantly, I think what everyone's interested in is real estate development. So helping to decide what buildings are going to be renovated, redeveloped. They look at donors, things like that. So it's a very detailed and prestigious board.
Just to clarify a little bit, they don't do scholarships. They do real estate development, and they do development outside of our campus. Like a really good example would be 650 Lincoln, the IMB engineering center that's across the street from our wellness and fitness center. So buildings that are semi-associated with us, but semi-not. Chairwoman Diapolito. Speaker Pro Tempore Violet.
Yes, I did mention to an adult lead advisor. An adult lead advisor for student government. Contact him. Oh, just go through Jessica.
Chairperson Koviak.
Yes, you are correct. I did mention it to one of the administrators about it. And basically what I got from the gist of the conversation was that, and this is how the recommendation is written, that if it cannot be a full board member, that it can always be given an advisory role like we have Courtney, the student body president, on the board of trustees. So it would be in that same process would be like we have for the board of trustees.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11774, sponsored by Senator Fry, a recommendation to create additional safeguards for areas around Russell House.
You can start presenting. I'll paste it on there in 30 seconds.
Yeah, the pictures, that's fine. Yeah, so this recommendation is pretty straightforward and simple. We want to create safeguards for certain steps around Russell House that don't have them, so specifically handrails. There's a few different locations that don't have any. The first, well, yeah, there's some stairs near Russell. Typically, I think it's where I want to say where the food truck's set up. Typically, there's no handrails on that on those sets of stairs, and we really need this done for students that have disabilities, make it easier for them to get around campus and to make them feel more welcome and comfortable here. And with that, I yield to questions.
Here, the stairs
Oh, yeah.
in question.
That's one set, I think. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Lewis. There's been a motion to appoint Senator Spurgeon as Senator Lewis's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Senator Lewis. Granted. Any questions? Chairwoman Anderson. There's been a motion to pass SBL 11774 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, this legislation is now adopted. All right. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11775, sponsored by the Academics Committee, a recommendation to create a standard timeline for student work to be graded and posted into Blackboard and other assignment pages.
If you want to, you can. I'm gonna give the members of the committee time to get up here if they would like to. Not, you don't have to. Okay, so what this piece is essentially aiming to do is kind of addressing issues a lot of students, and I imagine a lot of you have encountered in some capacity, essentially asking the university as a whole to start to develop standard timelines for student work to be graded and posted into assignment pages like Blackboard and any other similar things used by a professor. Specifically with the fact that, like, we do understand that a lot of classes can be huge. Some are lecture halls as big as 300, some classes are as small as 15 people. However, with that being said, there has been evidence in a lot of other classes, just from personal experience, students reporting things, of classes where there are 300 people and assignments are still graded within a week's timeline, whereas some that are 16 people can take close to 3 months. I personally have had that situation happen myself just last semester. So posting these things is very important. It gives students the ability to fix their grades before it becomes something they can't fix at all, which can ultimately lead to issues with the student having graduation retention issues in the sense of losing scholarships, making their timeline weird because of having to take classes, all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of our things. You guys want to speak on it? Experience anything?
I just want to say that I also have some personal experience with such incidents. It was a cause of, let's say, much anxiety for.
But with that, we will get any questions.
The chairperson yields their time to question. Senator Kirby.
Do you specifically mean our academic colleges independently or as like other schools, universities? So I wouldn't necessarily word it like that in the sense of creating guidelines for student success. I do not have off the top of my head colleges that do so. However, they're not necessarily to say colleges, but things like elementary schools, high schools, middle oftentimes do have timelines within to have assignments submitted, and it's also something where I think there's something to be said of if a student has to have something submitted by a certain time, it should be a beneficial relationship back and forth to have that same courtesy extended from the professor to the student.
Any other questions?
But we can get that data pulled in committee if you'd like.
Any other questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the Academics and the Student Life Committee. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11776, sponsored by Vice Chairperson Gay and Senator Fry, a recommendation to advocate for more sustainability within the School of Journalism and Mass Communications.
The senators are recognized to speak on this legislation. Sorry, I realized we've been staring at the stairs the whole time.
Yeah, Senator Gay is not here, so I'll just speak on this real quick. It's pretty simple. We want to create a recycling bin style system for the J School to have students use those bins to dump off old or outdated equipment, like maybe old microphones that don't work anymore, for example, or old cameras that have problems or things like that. And yeah, I yield the questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. There's been a motion to pass SBL 11776 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, this legislation is now adopted.
Thank you.
Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11777, sponsored by Chairperson Topolito, a bill to remove the Secretaries of Campus Wellness and Student Services.
Chairwoman Diapolito, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Hey guys, so you might be really confused about this. Why would I be removing a secretary position? Because I was confused at first too, when hearing about this issue. But recently, as I believe last term or something, it was made that secretaries and deputy secretaries, well, we had deputy secretaries oversee the progress of secretaries, but now there's no distinction between the two. Everyone's just secretaries and on the same level. Therefore, it would make sense to remove the secretaries of campus well-being and the secretary of student services. This is just because they were previously deputy positions. So campus wellness or well-being, it's wellness. I also went in there and changed it because it said wellness and it also said well-being a few times, got the real title. It is now all in there as wellness, which is awesome. But it's very similar to health and well-being, so usually campus wellness used to look over health and well-being and all of those others, but now Courtney's having difficulty deciding what different things should go to different secretaries because they basically do the same thing. Also, I put at the end in that clause that this wouldn't be enacted until next term, because right now we do have those secretaries and we're not going to put anyone out of their position. That's it, yeah. I yield my time to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette.
Yes, I spoke to Courtney about this. Yes, she did. It's been causing some issues in President's Branch.
Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. There's been a motion to pass SBL 11777 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, this legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11778, sponsored by Senators Dworzhnowski and Topolito, a bill to amend the impeachment process and clarify existing impeachment procedures.
The sponsors are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Okay, so we recently had an impeachment trial, and it kind of brought up a few issues within the codes. First and foremost, there was no procedure that was written in the codes. So Elijah is awesome and wrote up one all with the help of advisors and research, but we agreed that it was a pretty good procedure. So we plopped that right in the codes in easy language. We also made sure to specify the purpose of both the court of impeachment and the purpose of and articles of impeachment and charges of impeachment, because there was initially a lot of confusion with that. So we made it very clear. We also made it very clear that there's no consequences unless charges are adopted. We also added an appeals process, which is basically the same that's in the elections violations appeals process. So that's nothing out of the blue. I'll let you speak on it.
Do you have an interruptible motion?
It's 79 in the drive, I think. Oh, we're there.
I can move it.
Okay, so, yeah, it's mostly just clarifications. There's some, capitalization stuff, minor things like that. I'd say the most significant parts of it are making the distinction between the articles and charges, because that was a source of a lot of confusion. Codifying the court proceedings and the appeals process, and what happens after conviction by Senate, which is removal, because there's currently nothing in there that says what actually happens after someone is convicted by the Senate, and that's pretty important, but we've kind of just assumed what happens, and that should really be in the codes as well. So it's
Point of information, it's in the rules of procedure.
okay. Yeah, so just getting it in the codes as well.
I just wanted to make sure y'all knew it wasn't like that was just like made up. It's in the rules of procedure, which y'all adopt.
Yes. And with that, we yield to questions.
The sponsors yield their time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, this legislation is now referred to the powers and responsibilities and judiciary committees. Granted. All right. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11779, sponsored by the Finance Committee, a recommendation to permit the Finance Committee to allocate funds.
Chairman Matthews, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
Hi. So yeah, I mean, as I said earlier, we reviewed $8,415.53 and approved $8,418.43. The allocations are described in the bill. So that's it. I yield the questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Chairwoman Hopkins. There's been a motion to pass SBL 11779 by unanimous consent. Seeing no objections, this legislation is now adopted. All right, continuing on with the call of new legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the uncontested legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11761, sponsored by Senator Sheridan, a recommendation to revitalize Russell House Underground.
Is there somebody willing to speak? Senator Von Cannon, you are recognized.
Is this Russell House Underground?
Yes.
Okay. I have a message from Senator Sheridan, I believe. Russell Underground, everything is the same from last week pertaining to the recommendation, but Jacob has a meeting set up for tomorrow with Connors Morvay, the Assistant Director of Russell House Facilities, to discuss Russell Underground revitalization. That is all. I guess I yield to questions, but I'm just as proxies.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote. All those in favor of passage say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it, the legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11765, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to expand Wi-Fi coverage in outdoor areas of campus.
Senator Lewis, you are is there anybody willing to speak? For a period of 1 week, definitely. Okay. There's been a motion to table SBL 11765 for a period of 1 week. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is tabled for a period of 1 week. And that's SBL 11765, a recommendation to expand Wi-Fi coverage in outdoor areas of campus. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11766, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to expand meal plan use to athletic concessions.
Senator Violette? You sure? Okay. Chairman Matthews. There's been a motion to table SBL 11766, a recommendation to expand meal plan use to athletic concessions for a period of 1 week. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is tabled for a period of 1 week. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11767, sponsored by Chairperson Koviak, a recommendation to expand and revitalize the pre-professional and graduate advising office.
Chairperson Kobiak, you're recognized to speak on this legislation.
Hello, everyone. I know my recording was played. Glad that worked. That was very much I was sick and did my best and thought of something that worked. But essentially just kind of the same information. This is a recommendation just hoping to ask the university to do their best to see if we could expand this office. They currently work in partnership with the Career Center to meet their needs because there's only 2 of them. In total. So they do all of the graduate advising and they're doing great work, but they would love to be able to expand that. So we just need to be able to give them more support to do so. And then I know Maura gave the update that it's already something of awareness with Tolliver, along with our other university admin. So I'm hoping that will be moving along soon. But with that, I yield to questions.
The chairperson yields their time to questions. Are there any questions? Chairwoman Anderson. There's been a motion to appoint Chairwoman Cumby as Chairwoman Anderson's proxy. Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. Chairwoman Anderson. Granted. Any other questions for Chairperson Kobiak? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Right. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11768, sponsored by Senator Loco, a recommendation for rented umbrellas at major colleges and university buildings.
Senator Loco, you're recognized to speak on this legislation.
Hi guys, I don't really have anything new besides what I talked about last week. But yeah, I'm really excited to get started on actually working towards this goal. So yeah, I yield my time to questions.
The senator yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is now adopted. Yay, first piece. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11769, sponsored by Senator Sheridan, a recommendation to bring free printing to the Honors Residence Hall.
Senator Boncannon, you are recognized to speak on this legislation.
From Jacob, there's no new reports. Thank you. I yield myself to questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, we will now move to a voice vote on this legislation. All those in favor of passage say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. This legislation is now adopted. Continuing on with the call of new legislation, or the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read.
SBL 11770, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a bill to reform campaign expenditures and donations act of 2025.
Senator Violette. There's been a motion to table SBL 11770, a bill to reform campaign expenditures and donations act of 2025 for a period of 1 week. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. The legislation is tabled for a period of 1 week. Continuing on with the call of the uncontested legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now on the call of the contested legislation. The clerk will now read.
SBL 11764, sponsored by Senator Lewis, a recommendation to increase the student activity fee by $10.
Are there any representatives willing to speak? Senator Kirby.
Hey guys, Senator Lewis specifically said he did not want this tabled. As proxy, I don't have any of the information he has while making this bill, but essentially, to my knowledge, he believes that this will hopefully contribute a raise of $10 in the student activity fee will hopefully get us in the conversation of whether or not they actually raise it and by how much. And also, he hopes that some of these funds will go to benefit students, as is written in the bill. I yield the questions.
The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Hunter. Granted. Chairman Matthews. we automatically do after the sponsor speaks because it's on the contested calendar. Chairperson Koviak.
I'm sure if it's the, sorry, if it is the desire of the Senate, he'll be fine with it.
Speaker Pro Tempore Violette. There has been a motion to table SBL 11764, a recommendation to increase the student activity fee by $10 for a period of 1 week. Is there a second? All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Is there a motion for a brief recess? Is there a second? Without objection, so ordered. To preface, I need to Robert's rules check if somebody motion to lay on a table is like rank 6, and motion to move to a period of debate is like rank 7. So the higher one would be to table a piece of legislation. You want to withdraw your motion? Okay. Okay. So, like, just, you have to kind of, like, I don't want to put the words in your mouth because it's your motion. Okay. Okay, without objections, so are you objecting? No, I just came back. I guess taking the gavel. No, you're okay. You're okay. Okay. There's been a motion to withdraw the previous one. Without objection, so ordered. Okay. The sponsor just spoke on this piece of legislation. He yielded his time to questions. We are now going to move into a period of debate because that is what's customary on this calendar. Are there any senators wishing to speak on this matter? Senator Spurgeon. Senator Von Cannon? Yeah.
So this was a topic that was brought up by cabinet members and presented to the Board of Trustees over the summer in a much more detailed process. Already? So yeah, we just think that it's not, like, if it were to be passed, it would lead to confusion, and this doesn't make a whole lot of sense compared to information that the board has already been expressed to the board, especially regarding like specific line items that they would like to see funded by an increase that would help guide towards a better number. Any other questions?
Okay. The senator yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Silkert.
Unsure, and I don't want to speak for them, but it is my opinion is that it's very, very likely that we'll see a fee increase.
The answer is that the student activity, said this last week, so the student activity fee is within our tuition. It's not a line item on your bill. And we're in a state of tuition mitigation, which means that tuition has been freeze since 2019. So the student activity fee can't be increased unless tuition mitigation was to stop. So when it was like on the agenda at the Board of Trustees, like they just discussed the concept, but like it's, even if we were to all make a decision that the student activity fee was to be raised, nothing would change until the state legislator unfreezes tuition and stops tuition mitigation. And there isn't really a timeline for that, to be clear.
Just kind of more clarification on the decision of Student Life Committee. We realized that a lot of Senator Lewis's bill dealt with speculation on what the board would decide. Obviously, we know that it will probably be brought up, but that will be at a later time. We also didn't like putting a number out there without knowing all that goes into having a number, because we felt like if student government puts out a number first, then perhaps the faculty could say, oh, student government supports this number. So we could say, perhaps faculty could say, student government supports a student activity fee. So because of that, we're going to add a student activity fee. We were pushing for Senator Lewis we really wanted him to table the legislation, but we're debating it now. But we pushed for him to make a statement from student government saying, if a student activity raise were to happen, student government seeks such a limit of whatever that we could debate, and student government wants the faculty to dictate and give students notification about where those funds are going for more transparency. So that's kind of why we figured that just saying that we as student government want a raise of $10 wasn't exactly accurate. We're more reacting to what the faculty will do and kind of making a statement that if a student activity fee were to happen, we want this limit and we want to know where it's going. So yeah, that's what we sought for, but Senator Lewis wanted to debate it.
Do you yield
Yield
your
to
time to
questions,
questions?
sorry.
Okay. The senators yield their time to questions. Are there any questions for the senators? Seeing none, thank you. We are still in a period of debate at this time. Are any senators wishing to speak on this matter? Chairman Matthews.
Yeah, so I mean, my only thing is I think this ought to be, this is a very important issue. We're dealing with, the monies of students at the school. And I think if we're going to propose something or pass a piece of legislation and communicate this desire to increase the student activity fee to the board, it needs to be better written. It needs to be better researched. I think this bill would muddy any efforts to increase the student activity fee. And so that's why I do not agree with this bill. I agree with the premise that likely there should be an increase in the student activity fee because frankly, this school is lacking in some resources in some areas. And that is something that I think is worth looking into. But I think this bill is insufficient and should be voted down. I yield the questions.
The chairman yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Chairwoman Diapolito. Yeah, that would end. Okay. So that motion isn't possible the way you worded it. If you want the period of debate to conclude and then you could motion, I would extend the offer for anybody else who wants to speak, and then it'd be like, okay, we're moving to a roll call vote. And then if senators wanted to move it to a voice vote, that would be the proper time to make that motion. Okay. We are still in the period of debate at this time. Do any other senators wish to speak on this matter? Okay. Seeing none, we will now move to a roll call vote. Chairwoman Diapolito. There's been a motion for a voice vote, so a vote of aye in the affirmative is for the passage and adoption of this bill, SBL 11764, and a vote of nay in the negative is for this bill to not be adopted. All those in favor of passage say aye. Okay. All opposed? The nays have it, this bill has failed. Continuing on with the call of the contested legislation, the clerk will now read. Hearing none, we are now in line for Senator Kirby. Per our rules of procedure, it's kind of just like we're progressing from one to the next as it's outlined in the rules. We could, if you'd like to, but yeah, no, you're okay. Our rules of procedure trump Robert's rules. So like if there's something outlined in there that's different than Robert's rules, that's going to be what we follow. Any other questions? We're still in the period of open discussion if any senator wants to speak. Chairwoman D'Appolito.
I don't know. Sorry, guys. Really quick, just a quick reminder, Judiciary will be meeting in the LSC right after this. If you're interested in joining, please come so we can find a time that works for everyone involved. I yield to questions.
The chairwoman yields her time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. Speaker Pro Tempore Violette.
Hey everyone, this is just a reminder. Before you write your pieces of legislation, make sure that you are speaking with the proper channels and going through the proper channels before. You know, if you want to write something to, I guess, Russell House and it's going to eventually reach the desk of Russell House's admin, just make sure you speak to them beforehand just so you get like a better perspective on what you're discussing. It also, I think, provides a much more formal appearance for Student Senate. And with that, I yield my time for questions.
The Speaker Pro Tempore yields his time to questions. Are there any questions? Seeing none, thank you. We are still in the period of open discussion. Do any other senators wish to bring a matter of attention to the body? Seeing none, we are now in line for a period of announcements. Are there any announcements from the floor? Senator Sanders.
Okay, so I think I talked a little last week about the student government crossover collab, if you will, with Center of Health and Wellbeing. So we do have a confirmed date for that. It's going to be October 28th, and this is different from our collaboration with the College of Pharmacy. So that's going to be specifically student government and Center of Health and Wellbeing. So the 28th, mark your calendars. It's going to be awesome. So yeah, that's all. Do I need to give anything?
To questions or the well, whatever you want.
Yeah, what she said.
You have to pick one. It's an order.
Oh,
you got it.
yes.
Don't worry.
I yield to the well.
That means you have to sit down and you're not taking questions. It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I yield my time for questions.
Are there any questions? Seeing none. Fantabulous. Thank you. Okay, we are still in a period of announcements. Do any other senators wish to speak? Senator Jacobson? Oh, you raise your finger like. Okay. Anybody else? No. Okay, I have like two really quick things. Don't forget Senate retreat on Sunday. We're gonna go over Robert's rules. So all the questions today about Robert's rules, you're gonna learn about it on Sunday. Awesome. Also, in the post-Senate email, I'm gonna start sending dates for everything that's mentioned during Senate. So like all of the meetings that people mentioned that they were having, who's having them, gonna send them so you guys have like a one-stop place to look that has dates, times, what's going on, what isn't going on. So please make sure to check this. Just again, like a kind reminder, like I work really hard behind the scenes to like plan everything for you guys. So just like make sure you're reading your email, you're reading the group me's, you're like paying attention at Senate. It's part of your job as a senator. I just am trying really hard to communicate with you guys. And I think there's a gap at the moment, which is totally okay. And then also just a reminder that in your committee group me's now, the cabinet members as well as the freshman council liaisons got added to those group me's. So just keep in mind, like when you're sending anything in there, like it's not just Senate anymore. It includes cabinet and freshman council liaisons. Not that I think there's going to be any issues with that, but just keep it on your radar. But other than that, I yield my time to questions. Are there any questions? Senator Von Cannon. Like, you mean the training at the beginning? No, because that's codified that a senator within 2 weeks of inauguration needs to be trained. This is like a bonding refresher workshop thing. But we can definitely meet if you want to hang out. We totally can. But wait, that was good. I made you guys laugh. I felt like the energy was off. So yeah, we could definitely meet if you want to, but it's not required to make it up. However, it is required to be there. So you still need to submit an excuse. If you don't come, it gets added as one of your Senate absences. So like if you have 2 Senate absences and then you miss this, that would be your 3rd. You're at the max. Work is excused. Forgot to mention that because I know that you guys don't assume that you have Senate on Sundays. Any other questions? Seeing no further announcements, is there a motion to adjourn? Is there a second? Without objection, the Senate will now stand adjourned until Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. Don't forget, it's dress down next Wednesday.